Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, I want to give you guys a ranking of all the healers that are in the game. If you are someone who wants to play BFA right now, wants to get into a battle for Outlaw and get into the raid, enjoy some of the content that the expansion has to offer, you want to go in with your best foot forward. So of course you're trying to figure out what is the best class in the game. I've done a video best classes for DPS. I've done best video for best specs for duels. Now I'm doing a video for ranking the 5 classes of healers that we have right now in the game and trying to rank them as objectively as I can in order to give you guys a comprehensive list of the best to not the best healers for currently in patch 8.1. I'll be taking a look at all the healers, all the strengths, all the weaknesses, what do they bring, where they're great at, give you guys some of my opinions on the playstyles, and help you guys, hopefully with this video, decide which healer you might want to play or which healer you might want to check out in the near future of BFA. Now, there is a couple stipulations for this video. None of the healers in the game are absolute trash. If you are right now sitting in LFG trying to compile yourself a raid to tackle Battle for Dalaran, let me tell you that not a single healer of the list of 5 different healer classes that we have right now, none of them are completely utter trash. You want a little bit of variety. You want a little bit of mixture in your vegetables. You want a little bit of carrots with druids, lettuce with the monks. You want to add a little bit of mayo with the priests. So you want a little bit of a mixture of different healers because all of them bring unique things to the game. Every healer is unique and brings certain aspects that no other healer does, which is why all of them technically are wanted and valuable in every single group. But in this video, I want to outline the differences between those healers, the strengths, the weaknesses, what they're really good at, and what are they not that efficient at. So we'll be marking every single one of these healers on the chart with a score for every category between 1 and 5. Now, when we mark healers between 1 and 5, 1 does not mean bad. Doesn't mean that this class cannot do this certain category. It simply means it can, it's just not as efficient or as effective as some of the other classes in the selection. On the flip side, when I rank someone at a 5, it doesn't mean this is the best of all healers in the game ever at this certain aspect. It simply means that the game was simply designed for that class to be really good at that one specific aspect of the game. Technically, all the healers are pretty amazing when it comes to raids. Some are a little bit better in raids than others, while other healers are insane for Mythic Plus dungeons. And then, of course, some healers are incredibly good for PvP. Although PvP is a little bit of a flip-flop back and forth, and with the current raiding season, I do not want to rank any of these healers on the merit of PvP, since we have a lot of changes happening in the game right now. So this will mostly cover the raiding environment, the Mythic Plus environment, plus a little bit of my own opinion of what I like, what I don't like about some of the playstyles. Although, that's going to be my opinion, so I'm not really going to give that one a score. We're gonna start out with a class that I used to play way back in the day before I picked up my rogue, which is a Druid. Right now in Battle for Dalaran, Druids are very powerful when it comes to their cooldowns, being able to affect the gameplay tremendously when your team is suffering massive damage that can turn the tide of battle altogether. They can also cast while moving because most of the spells rely on insta-cast based abilities. That means they can move around from position to position while maintaining their allies. They also are very efficient for tank healing. They'll be able to maintain your tank at all times, no matter the situation. Another good aspect about Druids is they're generally good by themselves, as in, if you're in a raid and mechanics start to hit, Druid can just shapeshift into a bear, pop bark skin, and generally be fine on their own without the need of assistance of others. But Druids aren't perfect because they're kind of weak without their massive cooldowns, at least in most of the raid situations. The cooldown timers are extremely important. Being able to line up those cooldowns properly with the damage that's outgoing is going to be the key to your playstyle. So for some players that are not great at it, this could be a great negative. Also, they're not insanely good for spot healing. They can take on big bunts of damage, but when someone takes a bit of damage, it's hard to repair small parts with Druid. They're really good at repairing the full raid composition rather than small key components. Mostly because of the healing overtime spells having to give them a proactive playstyle rather than a reactive playstyle. Because of the healing overtime playstyle, Druids are insane for predicting and preventing the spikes of damage. That means that there's a mechanic where it takes will tank from 100% health down to 20 in a critical state, by applying all the hots ahead of time. As soon as they take damage, they can start recovery. But because they play with healing over time, it's very hard to predict very steady damage and hard to overheal it. Also, they're insanely good for Mythic Plus dungeons due to their AoE damage as well as healing that is very easy to do with all the movement. With abilities like Typhoon, Ursal, Self-Mana with Innervate, Roots, Soothe, and Bear Form, Druids are incredibly powerful when it comes to Mythic Plus, and it's probably right now the best healer for most of the Mythic Plus situations. Next on the list is going to be a Paladin, and a Paladin have always had the best flavor to them. I mean, you're a plated warrior with ability to heal allies, but also smack your enemy around. I always love that concept behind it, how they're staying with the melee and heal their allies around them, rather than, healing from afar like a caster. Paladins are incredibly good at healing the tank. They specialize in it, with their Beacon of Faith allowing them increased healing for the tank, while also being able to off-heal the tank while they're focusing on other party members. Paladin's also really good at overall single target, and they're very efficient in focusing down on a single player to heal. They have a variety of incredibly helpful spells, like Blessing of Protection, Hand of Freedom, as well as a Hodge. They're fairly tanky because of all the plate armor, and if things ever get bad, you can always bubble out of really harsh situations, making them fairly durable. They're very weak when it comes to raid healing, as in they don't have a way to heal the full raid. Also, part of the healing has to do with positionals like Light of Dawn AoE. It really is all about the healing that radiates in front of you, so if allies are spread all over, it's going to be very hard to catch them up. They're also fairly immobile, so while they're very tanky, the lack of mobility does kind of bring them into the more vulnerable position depending on the fight. Paladins bring incredibly unique buffs to a raid, as well as debuffs that everybody can take advantage of, which is why they're always wanted in a raid, that it brings something that no other healer brings. While the raid healing may not be as amazing as some of the other healing classes, the smaller the group, the easier it is for the Paladin to be able to heal everybody, mostly because of their very inconvenient mastery, where they actually do more healing the closer they are to a target, and if you're in a raid and everybody is spread out, you can't be everywhere at once. Paladins bring very powerful defensive cooldowns for their allies, and can also join in with the rest of the melee to do a little bit of melee damage, which comes in handy in Mythic Plus dungeons. Next we got the Monk, which is still, in my personal opinion, one of the coolest unique aspects of the spec in terms of the way that it plays, with the mobility, the cooldowns, the type of healing that it does with the channel ability. I always found it very interesting. First of all, monks have the best single target healing focus so far. If they need a target they need to focus on and channel all the heals in, Monk is the best class for it. They're very mobile with Rose, Transfusion, as well as Tiger's Lust. Defensives, which they have a plenty of, especially with talents, keep them fairly healthy and alive. They also have great crowd control and other crowd control based options from their talent row, making them invaluable in some of the Mythic Plus groups and even raids. They also provide a debuff called Mystic Touch, and every group with melee is going to enjoy that buff because it provides 5% more physical damage for their allies. Currently, monks are not the best at raid healing because they simply don't have the tools for it. Besides Essence Font and spot healing allies with Renew and Mist, and of course, although big one, Revival, they don't really have a lot of options for healing a large party. Also, mana is your biggest weakness as a monk player. Compared to some of the other healers, monks is one of those classes that can use mana almost whenever you want to. But because there's constant access to mana, has you using your mana far more often and faster than the other healers. So for any new players struggling with mana, Monk might not be the first class for you to try. Even though their AoE raid healing is not amazing, monks are usually a must-have for any raid group. Great single target allows you to focus down tanks or anybody taking massive amounts of damage to maintain them. While the raid healing isn't amazing to be able to bring everybody up to full, when it comes to consistency for AoE, they're actually very powerful and help fill out those small gaps where other healers may have a powerful cooldown to bring everyone up, but whenever you don't need to use that cooldown, monks will be there to kind of maintain the rest of the scene. Monks have awesome defensive abilities, allowing them to survive majority of situations, and with great mobility, they are a very, very powerful, very elusive healer that also does a reasonable amount of DPS. Next class on the list is the Shaman, and Shamans are exceptionally great at emergency heals as well as sustained healing, whether it's single target or whether it's AoE, mostly due to the mastery. Buffing up any spell they cast on an ally, the lower the ally's health is, the more powerful and potent that spell becomes. So you could use a very weak spell on an ally that's at very low health, and that spell simply just becomes better and bigger. They also have the ability on cooldown to cast while moving, which is very unique to this kind of healer, as not a lot of healers can efficiently do that. Shamans bring very unique healing cooldowns to their groups through the use of totems. They have things like Spirit Link Totem, which will link everyone's health together and help redistribute the pools to make sure that nobody dies by themselves. You have a Battle Res Totem, which will let you use a Battle Res if you talent into it, and there's a lot more totems for almost every situation. Shamans in the game right now probably have the best utility of all the healing classes in the game through the use of totems as well as other utility-based abilities. The downsides of playing a Restoration Shaman might be that you don't really have the best tools to help a tank out and bring him up from a tough spot. They're also not that great if the group is spread out, mostly because of their AoE focus, proximity-based healing with Healing Rain as well as Chain Heal. They're fairly decent on mobility, but they do have a lot of spells that have cast time, so mobility can become an issue for Shamans if they don't plan their cooldowns around it. They're also not very survivable. They still have decent cooldowns in order to survive situations where they'll take massive amounts of damage, but compared to some of the other healers, they're simply not quite as tanky. If you want to learn the fights, it's your first time going into a fight, most people recommend a Restoration Shaman to bring into every raid group. Because of their emergency healing potential with their mastery, they don't really have to spend more mana to heal someone more efficiently. They simply just get stronger heals if somebody's very low on health. With Spirit Link Totem, you can make some incredible plays that can save a whole raid or even a dungeon group. Great AoE healing allow you to heal everybody, making sure that most of your group should be maintained. So you can grab a Shaman to focus on the group, and you can grab a few other healers to fill up some of the other spots. But Shamans are definitely invaluable and very unique to what they bring to the team. And finally, we have the Priest, which consists of Holy Priest as well as Disc Priest. And technically it's one class, and a lot of priests like to double up. There's no really 100% Disc Priest or 100% Holy. Most priests will learn both of the specs. So we're gonna take a look at the Priest in general as a class, but when it comes to the ranking, we are gonna separate Holy and Disc for the rating system. Holy Priest is the staple of all healing classes. They are not really an incredible master at every aspect, but they do just about everything and fairly efficiently. Need AoE healing? Holy Priest will always be good at that. Need emergency group heals? Holy Priest will have you. Need emergency tank cooldowns? Holy Priest will do it. Spot healing, sustain healing, a bit of utility to him. Holy Priest brings every aspect of every healer, and I would say that most healers kind of start with a Holy Priest, and when they choose different specs like Resto, for Druid and Shaman, when they choose Mystery, when they choose Holy Paladin, then they specialize in other aspects while getting kind of duller in certain others. So if you look at a class or spec that's perfect just for all types of healing, Holy Priest should always be your starter. They have very powerful, diverse cooldowns. They also have a reactive playstyle. That means you don't need to prevent the damage ahead of time. When you see your tank or anybody taking damage, you just heal right through it, which is a far easier playstyle than proactive, where you have to prevent it ahead of time or see the damage coming from a mile away. They're fairly balanced at just about everything. They're not particularly insane, but the way that they are right now, they are definitely a staple to every raid group in BFA. Now, the Disc Priest is a little bit different. It does specialize in more of a damage-oriented playstyle, combining abilities like Shadow Word Pain, Penance, and Smite to deal damage to the foe, and using that damage to heal allies through the use of Atonement. Disciple Priests have incredibly high raid healing, mostly when it comes to high burst rate healing that they can set up whenever they wanna. They're also one of the few healers that brings an Absorb besides Monk's Cocoon, which is on a cooldown. You also do damage while healing, so we covered that before. They also cast spells, some of them while on the move, which allows them a little bit more of a positional playstyle. Besides that, Disciple Priests have the highest skill cap in the game for all healers to learn, and a lot of people gravitate towards Disc, mostly for the end game content. They're fairly weak on spot healing, so they're not really going to be able to cover everybody, but they would rather just cover the full group or one specific person, like the tank for example. They're rather a proactive healer than reactive, and they, out of all the healers, need to be aware of any damage that goes out before it happens. Because you set up just to heal your party is a little bit too long than pressing just one button cooldown. Disciple Priest is able to deal a high amount of damage while healing their allies with healing cooldowns, but they're nothing amazing. They are brought into the endgame content where you can edge out a little bit more DPS, while other specs of healers specialize in other aspects. Disciple Priests bring a unique component into a group environment, or maybe even into a Mythic Plus group, mostly with their damage. While the Holy Priest is more about a very balanced healer that focuses on every aspect of healing. You can think of it almost like as a jack of all trades, and a really good jack of all trades, but not really a master of one. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed with me checking out some of the healers in the game. Some of the resources I decided to use for this video was Raid.io scores, WoW logs, and the statistics we have of all the type of healers, the maximum amount of healing they can do, as well as guides from prominent World of Warcraft players in high-end guilds, describing some of the strengths and weaknesses and balance that against each other in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this type of video. Let me know which healer is your outright favorite. For me personally, I like the healers with flavor. So something like a Discipline Priest with damage healing components, the unique playstyle of focused healing for monks, as well as paladins is something that I just kind of lean towards. But some of the more reliable healers in my opinion are shamans, priests, as well as druids. Even though I would prefer to play some of the more unique healers because they're simply incredible in some of the M+ situations, at least in my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching again. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see all of you in another video.